This is the 21.5 Show.
You're on 121.5, the emergency frequency.
Whether you're a professional pilot or want to be one, you're in the right place.
Let's get started.
Join professional aviators Dylan and Max as they talk their experience in the airlines, business aviation, and more.
Life is good.
Industry experts, unique stories, and plenty of fun. This is the 21.5 Show.
Here we go.
Hey everyone, welcome back. Another episode of the 21.5 Professional Pilots Podcast. My name is Max. I'm a pilot. Airlines, business aviation, general aviation. Joined by my brother-in-law, friend, and co-host, Dylan.
Ahoy, airman. It is I. I'm the one with the good internet connection. I'm receiving all sorts of alerts that our network is struggling, app is not focused.
Is not focused. What does that even mean? What is with these hotels, dude? Like, how have we not figured out the internet? So bad. You know what else, too? Listen to this. This is a relatively new loft I'm in this evening, and I got in the elevator, and Christian and I were riding it up. You know, and it has the normal, the floors and the bell and the, whatever. But then at the bottom, it had two buttons. One was labeled yes, and the other one was labeled no. You ever seen that before?
Oh.
And I go, what is this?
No.
And he's like, I don't know. And I'm like, so I pushed the yes and the no. They didn't do anything. It's like at the very bottom of the stack. Yes and no.
Wow.
So
it's just a
if
new
anybody
way for
knows
you to
what that
answer
means,
questions.
Please write into the show. I'm not going to sleep tonight. You know what else is annoying about these hotels too? Have you noticed that they have these things that look like refrigerators, but they're actually not refrigerators? Have you seen these before?
No. No.
They like have the clear, it's like a refrigerator, but it has the clear front. They have no refrigeration.
So that's just like a nice little display case?
Yeah, and it like blows air around is all. It's the weirdest thing.
You got to innovate.
I guess. I don't know what's going on these days, but
I was in a hotel in Mexico yesterday, and the elevator had all the floors, and then it had a floor labeled -1, which I had never seen before.
How does
I thought
that
was
work?
Kind of interesting. I don't know. I looked at that.
Was it
like,
below
what is
ground
this?
level, do you think?
I'm assuming, yeah, because there was like the lobby, and then there was just -1. I was like, okay, I'll take that. A lot of hotel elevator observations. I'm sure our listeners have all sorts of good. Oh, do you want to hear a good hotel elevator story?
Yeah.
On an overnight, regional airline Dylan, Corpus Christi. I actually remember the town. This was like so early 2000s. So like, yeah, it was amazing. It was great.
At this point,
early 2000s.
I'm on the edge of my seat. Corpus Christi.
I'm sporting a Fossil watch on my left hand.
Of course you are.
And the elevator was closing, so I stuck my arm out to like stop the elevator, and the elevator the thing didn't stop the doors didn't stop closing. It just closed on my arm, and it was beyond where my watch was. So when I was like trying to pull my arm out, my watch was like, it was stuck. And I'm like, oh! And I was freaked out because I thought the elevator was gonna be like going up and cut my hand off. It was really freaky. And then finally,
happened?
I was able to like get it out. But I
Did you lose
was able
the
to like,
fossil?
pull the door with my other. No, I mean it's very, very stable, very sturdy watch.
remained
I mean,
intact?
listen, when you go to Nordstrom's to the mall and buy yourself a watch out of the jewelry case there, it's going to be top quality.
I hope that's a true. No, you got it for Christmas from your mom.
No, I went with Lindsay. I remember we went to the mall and like I bought a watch at the mall, and I'm like, I haven't done this since high school. This is amazing.
Yeah. Who buys stuff at the mall?
I know. It was crazy. I mean, this was like almost 20 years ago, so just be careful out there. Those hotel overnights.
I tell you.
You can't trust him. I had another.
It's funny though. I was like kind of jonesing to go to work. Do you get this too? Like, is going to work the most relaxing part of your week?
Often. It often is.
how-
See, you fly AMs though. The PM departure, where you get up early, I went on a nice walk. I had a really nice breakfast, and then like sat in the hotel room. I opened the shades and had the sliding door open, and it was just like a very pleasant temperature. And I'm like getting some emails taken care of. I'm like, okay, this is nice.
Dude, I did a PM yesterday. I did a
productive.
PM day trip, and the problem with me is that, like, in my head, I'm like, oh, I have all day. And so I do all the stuff. I was out there pouring concrete, like, in my house, all this stuff. And then it rolls around. It's time to go to work. And I'm like, huh, I'm exhausted. I'm like, no wonder.
Yeah.
I don't like these PMs because I can't just chill. I got no chill.
You gotta learn how to chill. Come do a trip with me.
I know.
I'll show you how
So
to
by
do
the time I get to work, I've already had a full day, and I'm tired.
it. Yeah.
I don't know.
Can't do that.
I'm an idiot.
You gotta pace yourself. Nice and slow.
got no
Anything
pacing.
else going on? Any more go arounds?
No go rounds.
Okay.
Everything's been very. I finally found this troublesome oil leak in the Moose that's been driving me nuts. Literally for a long time. Like, I've been in denial.
That's got to be rewarding, I would imagine.
is
I would
very
hate
rewarding.
working on an airplane. Like, that's the last thing I'd want to spend my time doing. But I guess when you fix the problem.
Well, it's not working in the plane, just troubleshooting things that are difficult to find. Like, an oil leak is just a hard thing to find in an airplane because it leaks oil, and then with all of the air going through the cowling, it just splats it's everywhere. 100% coverage of everything. So, how do you find that? You clean it, which is not fun because it's a mess. But I found this, amazing tool from our friends at Harbor Freight that's hooks to your air compressor, and then it blows compressed air out, but also has a tube that goes in solvent, and so it sprays solvent at pressure. It's incredible. So cleaned it all off and ran it outside and shut it down. Was out there looking at lights and everything. And anyway, I finally found it. And
Okay.
victorious. So I'm excited about that. That's my aviation victory of the week. That's all I have to report.
Very good. Okay. Well, I know the listeners will be excited for you. They can
Right. They're
send in their
relieved. Everyone can sleep now.
congratulations.
Everyone can. So should we tell everyone about the idea I had this week?
Yeah, go for it.
So I think we're in an interesting time in the aviation industry, right? We've had this big run up, right? And now you're seeing things, United's offering no-fly lines, blaming it on Boeing. Boeing's like the new COVID. You just blame everything on it. Boeing production delays. That's what if it's
Due to Boeing.
That's it. Due to Boeing. But and then Swift just shutting down, like not bankruptcy, it's just shutting down, right? And so we're starting to see some things, and it would appear that we've crested the top or on the backside, and everybody's pulled back or stopped hiring, blah blah, all the things everyone knows. So I thought this was a good time maybe for us to read a book we've mentioned many times on this podcast, which is Hard Landing. And if you don't know, this is a book about like deregulation and the airline industry and basically things that happened a long time ago that remind you of what always happens in this business. And so my story with that book was when I was a young college student intern at American Airlines. I was sitting, got the privilege of sitting in the jump seat and get up and cruise, and captain turns around and he goes, "You ever read the book Hard Landing?" And I said, "No." And he goes, "That should be required."
You ever been in a cockpit, Max?
I was just kidding. I knew it was coming. You ever been in a Turkish prison? Hey, Jimmy. That was
seen
exactly
a grown
what
man
my
naked?
mind meant to. I was hoping. Yeah, dude. You ever seen a grown man naked? Roger. So he goes, "Have you ever read the book? It should be required reading as an airline pilot." I remember I bought it after that and read it, and it's been very impactful all these years watching this business go up and down. And I feel like we're kind of right in this like transition zone right now. And so what I thought would be interesting is if we read the book, and every time, not the interview episode, but the whatever we call this episode, where we read the mailbag and
Hodgepodge.
The hodgepodge episode, we could discuss it. Just everybody who wants to participate, which I would encourage everybody, even if you're not an airline pilot. It's just interesting to see where everything came from. To read the book, we'll read a chapter, and then we'll talk about it, briefly on the podcast, and everyone can follow. It's kind of like our own book club, essentially. This is what a book club is like, right? Can you ask my sister?
Exactly.
Is this what a book club is like?
I would assume. I mean, I've never been in a book club.
Have you ever been in a book club?
Here's the only problem with every book club that I've observed is like less than like 10% of the people in the club actually read the book. And then they go and, we're going to go discuss the book. And then like 2 people have read it, and the rest of the people are there just to drink white wine and, but
Yenter it up.
Way. Yeah.
Wow.
I think what's cool.
I fully intend on committing to reading this book. I mean, 1 chapter every 2 weeks seems very doable. I think I can fit that in.
Yeah. Is there a book on tape? Maybe, Max, maybe you can write to Thomas Petzinger Jr., the author, and see if we could be the book on tape.
Well, that would be the crescendo at the end of all this, is what I would like to see if we can get Thomas Petzinger Jr. on the show at the end and get his take from where that book, the period of time that covered to now. And I think that would be really interesting insight. So
it's just, I think what's cool about that book in general is it gives you an idea of how hard it is to make money with an airline, and what decisions have to be made both in the pilot and union side, but also in the management side. And so it's just, there's a reason why a lot of airlines go bankrupt or merge or it doesn't work out. I mean, it's not easy on any side of the equation. And so I think to me, that's the real lesson that you get from this book, is that you walk away and you're like, wow, this is a very difficult industry. And this is why it's cyclical, and it goes up and it goes down. And when times are good, they're not going to be good forever. And when times are bad, they're not going to be bad forever. So,
and they can make a lot of money when times are good, and then it's amazing how quickly it changes. And so much has changed since the days, since the stories in that book, in the 70s and stuff, to now. Yet not a lot has changed at the same time, right? It's the familiar thing, and so it's very interesting to see. I think especially for a lot of the younger pilots that haven't been around to watch this cycle ebb and flow a couple times, it's really interesting to see. It gives you a lot of clarity on the airline industry we have today, where it came from, and why it's like this. And you can connect the dots where that book ends to where things are today pretty easily to see. Deregulation and consolidation and how we got to where we are now. So I think that would be a good book. And then if it works out, who knows? Maybe we'll find another book to read.
Cool. Okay. So we'll do that at the end of the next episode. We'll do that so that if folks haven't read it, there won't be a spoil, that we won't spoil anything. Just the last part of the episode.
No, screw that. If they don't read it, that's on them. They get spoiled.
Okay, we'll open with it then. Chapter 1.
Yeah, big deal. I mean, it's not like it's this big cliffhanger. Like, what happens? What happens to Braniff next time?
What are we doing?
What happens to People's Express? You'll find out 2 weeks.
Yeah, right. Eastern Airlines. Will they make it? Okay. Well,
Bob Crandall.
Max, speaking of airlines and getting great insights from airline pilots, what we have not done in a really long time is talk to our boy Ted.
So much wisdom.
For listeners that are not familiar, we have a college buddy named Ted. We somehow gave him a segment on the show called Straight Talk with Ted, where Ted really tells it like it is. If you listen, Hard Landing will teach you a little bit about the airline flying. Ted's going to teach you a little bit about what it's like to be an airline pilot. Since we last talked to Ted, he has upgraded to the Dreamliner and he had his second child. And so a lot going on in Ted's universe. So earlier this year, we had a call with him, and he's recapped what it's like to fly the Widebodies, what it's like to be an international, what is he called? I don't even remember what he said in the call. It was like the international drink officer or something like that. International refreshment officer is what he called himself, I think.
All Ted does, I feel like, is for some reason, I share my location with Ted. Do you share locations with Ted?
Yeah.
I don't share my location with very many people, but I don't know why, Ted. But like right now, I just checked to see he's in Qatar right now, in Doha, I think is how you say it, right?
He's a man of culture, though. He's going to embrace that. He's
but really he's not the man of culture. That's what's so.
I know.
But then we got a picture of him on the camel. Can you put the picture of him on the camel on the?
Yeah.
Wherever.
Yeah. When we had this conversation, it followed up with a picture of Ted and the flight attendants riding a camel in, I'm assuming, Egypt, but I guess it could have been somewhere else.
I know it was in Qatar. It was on their Doha.
Was it? Okay.
Overnight. Yeah.
Big Doha guy. So we're gonna play that. So here's that conversation with Ted. I hope you enjoy it. Prepare yourself.
Teddy Widebody, we call him now.
Teddy Widebody.
Yeah. So Ted, we've been getting a lot of requests for two things. Yeah. One is for more Ted, and two is for people asking the question about flying the Widebody. So we figured we'd kill two birds with one stone and call you, since you're so articulate and
yeah. What is the difference, narrow body to wide body? Give us your thoughts.
The difference, if you're really good at doing nothing, like myself, international wide body is fantastic.
So people, you always hear that the gravy train is the senior FO on the wide body. Would you agree with this? Is the lore true?
Yeah. I mean, you don't have to work very often. You don't do walk-arounds. You just kind of show up. Everything's done for you.
What do you mean? Who does the walk-around?
The refreshment officer.
Oh, okay. The refreshment officer.
Wait, is it true, Ted? I heard that the refreshment officer usually gets the first break, right? They sleep first?
Yeah. Yeah, they do.
So one of our other friends told us that the real struggle at his airline was if you actually showed up and wore your uniform for the walk-around, or if you did the walk-around in your pajamas. Can you comment
in your Nike sweats and hoodie?
Do you really change?
You look like one of the rampers, at least.
Get your vest on.
I change depending on how long the break is. Like if I do Dublin, I'm not changing because the break is like an hour and 15 minutes. That's too much work. But if you're going to do like Doha, I mean, and you're doing 3.5 hour breaks, yeah, that's the key to sleeping is to get comfortable.
Okay. I guess that makes sense. Do you sleep with your hat on? No.
Yeah. Hat and company headset.
Yeah.
Just in case.
Just to stay in the loop, just in case anything pops up.
They got a jack up there in the bunk, and you just plug in.
Cool.
So you can listen. Yeah. Cool.
Yeah, well, you can monitor the HF just in case.
Yeah.
Oh, my gosh. Okay. So many of our listeners know, like, you commuted to the narrow body for a long time. You're still commuting, but is the commuting part easier?
Yeah, because it's all those international trips start late. And you have all day to get there.
Okay.
When do they get back though?
Usually around 1, 2, 3, 4 in the afternoon.
Because they all have to get back to connect everybody out, right? So they can't either get in super late or super early. Like everyone's got to go somewhere else.
Yeah. So they get in a pretty reasonable hour in the afternoon.
Okay. So commuting is better on the wide body.
Commuting's better. I feel less tired. If you can sleep on the airplane, you're going to feel less tired. But
we were just talking the other day how you were having trouble sleeping while at the destination sometimes, right?
I can't. If we're talking London, which is 4 hours or something change from where I live, that's not. I can sleep there. That's no problem. But if you go to like Doha and it's an 8-hour difference, it's very difficult to sleep because, I mean, it's, you know, you're trying to go to sleep at 3 o'clock body time. Doesn't feel right.
Yeah.
But the good news is you get 7 hours of sleep on the flight back, and you feel fine once
you don't really
land.
have to show up rested because there's plenty
No,
ample opportunity to rest.
You're basically a ghost. You're just going through the movement, just like you're not even there.
Wow.
All you got to do is get to like 15,000 feet, and you're already out the door.
Well,
So what are you doing on all of these quote unquote breaks?
Usually I fall right asleep, but then sometimes you pull out the iPad and you just watch Netflix, and then I'd get through like 30 minutes of a show, and then I'll fall asleep.
okay.
You're tired. I mean, you're backwards, so you're tired. At least I am.
So I guess that's really the secret of this whole thing is, can you sleep in the crew bunk?
Yeah.
I mean,
There's a first class seat for you too if you prefer to sleep out there, but I don't know why you'd want to listen to a bunch of cat ranchers banging around galley carts and talking about their overnight. I would go up into the bunk.
I don't know, Ted. I seem to remember, I think it was last week, getting a picture of you and all the flight attendants in a camel.
Yeah, just, you know, me and the girls, we went out on a little excursion.
Like, I've never the video of you mounting a camel was
it looks
made my
so
week.
awkward. The noises that camel was making. Ted, can we share that video with our listeners? I don't even know.
At no point did I feel like that was a stable ride at all. That's not like riding a horse. It's like you're on like stilts.
I
It's
feel like you're
ready
riding
to
on
go
the very
down.
back of the camel
Yeah, it
too.
didn't
It's
seem-
really
There was
Yeah.
a lot of hump
it seemed
choices.
like you were just holding on for life.
I was holding on for life, and I think that camel was pissed that my fat ass got on it.
We might need to post that on the.
We'll have to. We'll blur your head out, Ted. It'll be. Maybe we'll blur the camel's head out. I don't know.
We don't want the camel to be identified.
Poor guy. So you're obviously going to some new destinations. No longer are you going to Macon, Georgia, and
Valdosta,
some of these other spots that you
Meridian, Mississippi.
Yeah. I'm assuming there's no golden tea machines at a lot of these overnights.
Yeah, you know, Ted, I've known you for a while now. I've never known you as the most adventurous eater, like with your cuisine.
yeah.
So how are you handling that?
Europe, you find anything. It's all standard, normal stuff.
Yeah, I'm not talking about Europe.
Oh, and if you go to like Qatar, I mean, that's pretty westernized. I mean, it's a lot of Mediterranean food if you like Mediterranean food, which I do. So
Have you gone to India?
No, I have not done that. That would be interesting. I don't know how I would eat there.
slowly. That's what I would do. Okay, talk to us a little bit about what do trips look like. How many sequences or pairings do you have to do a month? Does that change? I mean, is it still sort of like 4 trips a month, or is there more flexibility?
This month is only 3 trips, 2 4 days, and 1 3 day. That's 70 hours. And then you have 19 other days out the month if you want to pick something up, or if you just are happy with your 70 hours, that's it.
Okay. And is trip trading a thing, or is that not really possible, or is there a lot?
It seems to be a lot easier in my base and on the 787. I don't know why that is, but it's just the algorithm. The computer seems to be happier. I don't know, maybe because it's a smaller status and they're not short as much. I don't know. But trip trading is possible. You can drop stuff, which I've been able to do.
So what percent were you bidding as a narrow body FO compared to now?
I left at around 7%.
Oh,
Jeez.
It was by accident that it ended up staying that long because of COVID, and then I got withheld for like a year, and then there was a baby, which I took time off, so it got delayed a couple of years.
So what are you bidding now?
Now about 55%, something like that.
Still not bad.
It's pretty good. I mean, and with that many days off, you kind of have the flexibility to maneuver things around a little bit. So overall, is there any, I mean, are you just like, I should have done this 5 years ago, or is there stuff you miss about domestic flying, or what's kind of the verdict?
There is stuff you miss about domestic flying, especially when you got senior. There was some pretty sweet trips that I used to enjoy, but there isn't, and there's a couple cities that are fun, or like you run into your friends in cities or whatever.
Right.
Definitely not. That's not going to happen internationally, but yeah, for the most part, it's about a 90% no brainer.
And what can you tell us about the 787? Start with the crew rest area, and then we'll move up to the actual cockpit.
Some stairs, and you go up into the ceiling above first class, and there's 2 beds side by side. You kind of stick to your side based on as an FO, you'd be on your normal side. Captain takes the other side.
Okay.
The refreshment officer makes the beds to start the flight. It gets a little tricky though when you're doing 4-man. And there's multiple breaks because there's a lot of there's a lot of blankets that need to be changed out and changed back in, and pillows. And it actually becomes an issue because they give you like 16 comforters and pillows, and you're like, where am I supposed to keep all this shit? It's not like a linen closet up there.
Okay.
Sounds very stressful. Yeah. You're right. This is very intense.
And another thing you need to navigate too is when your working partner. If you're the relief pilots, you have a partner that you guys swap out with the other, like the captain and FO, and she's female and you're male. You need to stagger going up into the bunk because you need to allow them to change.
Oh,
is that where you change up in the bunk?
Yeah, there's room to change up there. You have a little area. There's also a third jump seat up there for you.
Can you stand up?
Oh yeah.
In the ceiling, but there's room to stand up.
Not in the sleeping area, not in the bunk.
Okay.
But there's a standing area prior to
like at the
climbing
base
into
of the stairs. I see. Okay, so that's where there's like a little locker room there.
Yeah, and there's a third jump seat up there too.
All right.
Wow. And what's that for? If there's turbulence, you have to strap in.
If you just feel like sitting there eating your meal or whatever.
Interesting. Wow.
What's the longest flight you've done?
Read your USA Today. Longest flight, 14 and a half. I've done it 4 times. That's actually the only trip I want to do now.
Why?
You get paid to sleep 7 hours, and you feel fantastic when you get back for the most part.
What's that to?
That's Doha.
Doha. Yeah, I noticed you've been spending a lot of time in Doha.
Yeah, it's because he knows.
If you can get not even like the relief pilot that sits like I don't even know if you're number 3, the best position is number 4 because you really do absolutely nothing.
What do you mean?
Like if you're the third guy, if you're just like the normal third guy, you have to there's a couple things you do. You kind of have to do the logbook and get them their little burn. Like when the printouts come out, it's right in your legs. So you got to rip the paper off and give it to whoever's who and make sure stuff gets done. And there's a sheet worksheet you got to fill out. But if you're the 4th guy, you do nothing. Absolutely
not even
nothing.
the walk around.
That will be your one chore, the walk around or the bunk. Decide which. You guys usually split it up.
Is this written in the manual of who has to make the bed? Does it say that specifically, or is this just a kind of a thing?
It's negotiated side letter for the union.
Yeah, it's an LOA.
Wait, so can you bid? Could you bid the reserve?
You can bid the position.
You can bid the position if you want to. Okay.
You could bid 4. You could bid 3. You could bid FO.
I'm surprised you're not bidding 4. That sounds right up your alley.
I can't hold 4. I can only hold 3.
Are you serious?
Yeah, I try to get it every month.
He's running around telling his wife when the bids come out, I got sheet folder.
Wait, you can only hold 3? You can't even hold...
I'm the bed maker.
The last 2 times, this month, every number 4 I flew with 2,000 number senior to me.
Oh my god! So hold on. So if you're 4-3 and you're not doing any landings, right?
No, you got to. If you dequal on your landings or whatever, you got to go down. Go get 3 bounces. Yeah.
Here's what I love about this. We've been talking about international flying for 17 minutes. At no point did anything talk about like international procedures,
No, we
any
don't care
technical
about that.
abilities about flying the airplane.
We're talking
This
about
is-
what pilots actually care
I
about.
was just going to say this is a good lesson for anyone getting into aviation. This is what's important: the actual manipulation of the controls and where you're flying.
This is one of the greatest. We should get like some guy that's like an attorney that works 60 hours a week. You know, we should get with a captain, with a wide body international captain, be like, let's just do a quick comparison. Let's start at income, and then we'll just work down to job responsibilities, kind of how many days. Wouldn't that just be the funniest segment of all
my
time?
God.
This guy's like, what? You sleep for $400 an hour?
My wife's home with like a 6-month-old and a 2.5-year-old, and she's just, fried. And I tell her about, I just, slept for 7 hours.
And I rode a camel and came home. That was great.
Ted's walking in the door with a pep in his
Yeah, what does
step.
she have to say about that?
Yeah.
Slammed a couple hot fudge sundaes,
How is the food?
I did get through that series we started watching, though.
Yeah. Good news. I finished up. I know who
Yeah, I'm
did the
caught up
murder.
on my Netflix.
I tell you wouldn't believe that he died in the end. Huh.
So wait, yeah.
So what were you up to then?
You bring up a good point though, Ted. What is so a lot of first class food, I would imagine, is coming your way. Like, how do you manage all that?
Everyone's a little different. You try to stay away from the packing on the desserts.
Yeah.
Stay away from the pastries. So you do what you do. Just try to stick to the meat.
Yeah,
low
how has your body composition changed at all since moving from wide body to or narrow body to wide body?
Well, I just got a medical today, and I gained 7 pounds in 6 months.
Do you think you're going to be on track for another 6 to 7 pounds at your next medical, or you think you're going to are you plateauing?
Wait till Ted can hold number 4.
Yeah, I'm going to be a wide body pretty soon.
Oh man.
That's the
So
best.
you're never going back. Okay. Anything? Now let's actually talk. Geek us out for 1 minute on the 787.
Wait, hold on. You can
Wait.
hold narrow body captain easily, right?
Mm-hmm.
Same base, everything.
Any base, anywhere, line holder.
So what's the move now? Like what are we looking at?
Remember how I didn't have to get an MEI in college, and I just went straight to the airline?
Yep.
I'm just going to go straight to wide body captain.
Is that seriously your plan?
Yeah, there's no reason to go over back, really. For right now, there's no reason.
Yeah, you kind of that's true. I guess you almost because how many years have you been able to hold narrow body captain?
It was a couple years before COVID. I could have held one of those
So you're
terrible
basically-
junior spots.
Yeah, so you're basically spending your narrow body. You've already taken that chunk between delaying upgrade or delaying this position, and now you're here for a few years. You're just gonna skip right over, huh?
Genius.
I guess, unless I have to go to narrow body captain for some reason.
That's brilliant. That's brilliant. All right, geek me out for 1 minute on the 787.
Remember how I skipped my Emmy?
Cockpit's huge. I mean, huge screens. They do everything. You can move them all around. It's like, anything you can possibly want to request, you can get from like the company or from ATC. It's all there. I mean,
Like
if you want.
Okay, is there a hot fudge sundae button on the?
Galley request screen.
Is it just pictures now for you idiots? Just swipe through.
It's like when you
hot nut.
Yeah.
Hit the hot nut.
It's like at the Costco food court. You know how you order on the screen now.
Can you just request? Can I just get a hot towel service real quick? Is that a thing?
Yeah. Oh, you have a camera, and you can see what's going on in the galley behind you, and at your door for security reasons.
Oh, that's
cool.
actually cool. Yeah.
So it's crew swapping, going to the bathroom is pretty seamless because you always know who's at the door. It makes life a lot easier.
Okay.
It's a lot of good stuff. It's pretty easy to land. It's got a huge wing, climbs real well, does everything you need to do.
It climbs, Ted.
Climbs real well.
Yeah.
It's
It's good.
A lot
Good
better than
feature.
a 321 out of Phoenix.
Oh my gosh. I was in the back of in the last row of a 321 not that long ago. I think we were flying from Kennedy to Phoenix, and I feel like we didn't even get into the mid 30s until we were like over St. Louis.
Oh yeah, I did transcons all the time at 30,000 feet, 32,000.
What are we?
Just getting the shit beat out of you.
Not anymore. Have you seen anything cool like out the window on some of these long legs? Ted, anything interesting? Or is it all just ocean?
Yeah, you see cool stuff. I mean, like I saw the pyramids in Egypt and stuff, so that was cool.
Was that from your bed? Or
Yeah.
It just peeked out the
you
window.
just woke up?
What's that thing?
Yeah, what is that?
All right, last
Where are
one.
we?
I can't believe it's taken us this long. I feel like we've gotten a pretty good idea of what you think of captains on the domestic fleet. Where are we at with the I mean, is it better, worse? What's it like?
It's so far it's better. But the timing too, it's like everyone just got a new contract, so morale is a little bit higher than it used to be. Yeah, I mean, they seem to be more relaxed and not have as many worries.
I mean, is it just a nonstop parade of boat pictures? I mean, 787 captain. I mean, you got to have so much money. I mean,
I don't know. I never fly them. I'm always flying with another FO.
That's right.
see, that's good. So you're actually flying with more junior people now.
Yeah. Usually fly with a junior person, someone off reserve, or someone who's or you sometimes you fly with the people that had like the kind of the bad roll of the dice career, and they're kind of like, yeah, I was here, and then I got here, and then I was here 9/11, got furloughed for 10 years, now I'm back, and it's like not much to talk about there.
Bummer. Hot fudge sundae.
You just go, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, that's seniority. And then what you do is you bring up the seniority integration, and then ask about stovepiping and
and that's about it.
Career expectations and all that. That's a great conversation to have.
How often do you drop the bomb, the absolute devastating bomb that you never got your MEI? I mean, do you lead with that or do you wait?
Do you wait till the conversation kind of stagnates?
You just actually want to
use that to reignite things?
It's actually on my card. It just says, Ted, didn't have to get my MEI.
No, I will not instruct your son on how to learn how to fly.
Nope. And I only signed one student off ever for a license. That's actually a true story.
100% pass rate, gold seal.
Ted has just figured out how to slide through aviation.
Yeah, there's no reason to go like above and beyond, because you're just a number. I mean, there's no stars.
There's no stars.
That's right.
I mean,
there's no progress report. Like what?
Yeah, that was just don't overextend yourself. Don't exert too much.
Well,
effort.
Ted, the real question is, you save all this energy for what when you get home?
Childcare.
One day we'll get into golf again.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. One day.
No, you're going to be coaching youth sports before you know it.
I already have to go to like some little kickers soccer.
Yeah. Oh yeah. You're gonna be screaming at volunteer umpires soon. Yeah, save your energy. You've got a lot. You got a whole second wind coming. Pop Warner football fights with another dad in a parking lot.
Yeah. That sounds good.
Yeah. It's all coming up. Well, I think this has been real encouraging.
Really enlightening, Ted.
Thank
you.
It is interesting. It sounds like international is definitely a perfect fit for you.
Yeah, for now. I wonder if you get tired of the same places, though.
Yeah.
Because it's only like 10 places.
I was just going to say a lot less destinations.
The thing that blows me away is that fourth, like the pilot that doesn't even land, is that senior.
You can't even see what's going on from the seat. You're behind the FO. All you do is stare out the window. You're just along for the ride.
Does everybody have to be in the cockpit for takeoff and landing?
Yeah. Yeah.
Why? Like what?
Oh, that's
What are you going to do?
Ted's actually running for a union leadership position. He's lobbying to change that. He's going
He wants to take off and land from the bunk.
Yeah.
You're there for to back them up, make sure they don't cross a runway, that type of stuff.
Wait, do you have the taxi diagram out?
Yeah.
You have your iPad out?
You're supposed to. You also are there for when they read through the flight plan and you verify it on yours.
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
That actually could make sense.
This sounds great.
Very enlightening.
A lot of times they'll be like, hey, can you call load control and see what's going on with our numbers, and then so you get on the third low radio and call in the company.
Yeah. What is the deal with you guys never having your numbers? Like, I always hear that. Oh, we're waiting on numbers. Like, don't you get that before you push?
I don't understand it either, because the previous airline, it was there. You send it and it's back 2 seconds later.
What is the deal?
I don't know.
Oh, Americans waiting on numbers again.
Yeah, because at my airline, you could never you couldn't drop the brake and block out until you had your numbers.
That's how we are.
Yeah.
We do the whole, like, how do you not know? Like, what if you're overweight? You're holding short of the runway? Oh.
If you're overweight, then you request a new set of numbers.
Oh. We're going to need you to massage the numbers. Just move.
Is that what you told your AME today?
Yeah.
I'm going to need a new set of numbers.
This isn't going to work when I bring this home to my wife. How about we split the difference at 3.5 pounds? What do you...
The count is off. The count is off.
She keeps harping about these fudge sundaes.
Wow. Okay. Well, I think we've saved our listeners a lot of time here. They should know.
Yeah, now we know. Now we know
what
the
to do.
mystery. We've lifted the curtain on the mystery of
So
the demanding
FO
world,
is
the demanding world of long haul flying.
Long haul flying. And so the lesson is the number 2 is the most junior, then 3, then 4, or does it go 3, 2, 4?
2 is most senior.
Oh,
And then 4, and then 3.
oh, okay.
So you can only hold 3.
I can only hold 3 as of right now.
So have you ever landed?
Not
real
on that
airplane?
trip. Oh yeah. I still fly one FO trip a month to stay current, landing FO currency. That's usually like a Europe trip.
Oh, I see.
Okay. Just got to mix it
I
in.
do Dublin or Amsterdam, something like that.
Okay. Well, we have a lot to learn about this, Max.
That's
I don't
good.
know.
Well, we're on our way.
Yeah. Ted, anything else? Any calls to action for our listeners? That anything you need to the listener else? You need.
You'll start a very unhealthy habit of buying stuff at duty free on every single trip.
Oh.
And the next thing you know is you have like 9 bottles of whiskey in your house, and you're like, "Oh shit, how'd that happen?"
Not bottles of perfume for
Yeah, I
your
was gonna
wife.
say,
huh?
how's the perfume?
Just the-
How long can you buy expensive bottles of perfume, and how long does that work until that doesn't really like showing up with
I
that?
bring her wine home. She's happy with that.
Okay. So I imagine like the first bottle is a very diminishing returns when you're showing up with the latest.
You know, it's funny. I buy this bottle of wine from Spain. I swear to God, you go to the store and I laugh because it's honestly $2.50.
Yeah, I know.
Right.
Wine
And I bring it
Europe
home,
is
and
the
she's
best.
like, "This is fantastic."
"Oh, so exotic, Ted."
And I'm like, "You have no idea how much I paid for that."
He's a hero.
That's great.
And then you rip $80 bottles of whiskey from duty free every trip. she's like, "Well, he got me a nice bottle of wine."
That's a good. Wow, a lot of technique. Technique.
Technique only.
All right. Well, that's it. Anything else, Teddy?
That's about it.
Okay. Sounds good. Well, you continue to have fun there. We're going to work on doctoring this camel video, and we'll look forward to sharing
let
that
you know.
with the public.
All right.
All right, let's know how those numbers come back. We'll
Yeah.
Yeah. I'll call tech support.
All right. Talk to you later.
All right. Bye,
Let's-
Ted. All right, Max. That was nice catching up with Teddy.
Yeah. Always he's a real breath of fresh air. Real ray of sunshine. Little Teddy Wonderland is.
Exactly. Really inspiring the next generation of airmen.
It's our boy.
All right. Should we move on to a more positive segment here? Maybe talk a little bit about what folks are saying about the show?
Please.
Okay. I'll read the first review that we got from Nick AZ1. It says, my go-to aviation podcast. Tons of great insight, accurate, and real-time 121 information. This is a great podcast for those in 91, 121, or 135 world, or those looking to get into aviation. The flight advice sections and guests are top-notch and provide a great variety of viewpoints. This is a great podcast for the commute to work, and I enjoy the comical banter. Well done, gents.
Right. Next one, a podcast that every pilot should be listening to. First off, not only does this pod slap, but it's banging. A little chillin'. Got more value than a PJP fuel discount. People have really taken the whole slap thing and run with it. I love it. I think it's hilarious. Now time to be serious. These guys give fantastic advice, and that advice has helped me with Career 2.0 after 35 plus years. In the TV and film industry, I made the change to what I always wanted to do, fly airplanes. Well, actually, I wanted to be an astronaut, but yeah, that rocket ship has launched and splashed down. Thanks for the information and laughs. It's truly a great podcast. That's from Eric. Thanks, Eric.
Thank you, gentlemen. We'll be happy to send you some stickers for your review. Just shoot us an email, info@215podcast.com. Include your mailing address, and we'll get those stickers out. I just mailed a bunch out the other day, so if you've been waiting a little while, they are en route. Lots in the mailbag today, Max. I'm excited to dive into this one. We got some good flight advice, too. Kind of a different flight advice. I think you're going to enjoy this one. So let's jump right into it. But before we do that, I got to mention our friends at Advanced Aircrew Academy. If you visit aircrewacademy.com, you will see what all of the hype is about. These guys are the real deal, providing educational content for your flight department. There is an alternative to CTS training, and Max and I have both experienced it with Advanced Aircrew Academy. It is spectacular. Last year, Max, you'll remember we did a show with them on weather radar. Well, their blog has a new post about weather radar. It says, weather radar cannot detect bad decisions.
Not yet.
And it is an excellent blog post. I've got a link to it in the show notes. Go ahead and read that. It's about time to fire up the old weather radar. Have you turned the multi-scan radar on in the G280 yet?
Oh, I did today, as a matter of fact, Dylan. Winds were very gusty here. And, make sure we had that wind shear detection functionality. But yes, I have used it. It's very cool. It has this, I told you this, right? Do you have a vertical situation display, a VSD?
No, we don't get that with the radar on ours.
Oh, well, no, you just have a VSD, and then, the radar projects a vertical image on the VSD. It's really cool.
Yeah.
That gets me.
Not in our ship. That's pretty cool. Well, anyways, visit
Another
the
point for the
blog
280.
post. Yeah, that's right. That's right. Well, check out the blog post from Aircrew Academy to get you primed for weather radar usage here. The season is upon us. Thank you for sponsoring the mailbag. On to email number 1. Go ahead, senor.
All right. Love your show. Billy Nolan interview was fantastic. I think you really need to work on your audio, though. The amount of echo really detracts. It's sometimes downright painful. That's painful. What's wrong with our audio? I thought our audio was good.
It might just be the guests. Sometimes the problem is here when you're recording a podcast, the trickiest part is getting the technology to work, and a lot of times your guests don't have microphones.
Well, we bring these
struggle.
silly microphones on the road with us, like real deal, and everyone's using AirPods, which is terrible, especially with Bluetooth, and or the wired one, which is seems archaic, but is much better. So we do the best we can. What Dylan and I have always said on this podcast is we will try to make ourselves sound as good as possible and do the best we can with the guests. But so cut us a little slack, bro.
But we're trying. Thank you. I appreciate it.
We have a professional editor. We're doing all the things. We have high dollar microphones, voice coaches. No, we don't.
That's right.
Just
Hot water.
dry oatmeal.
All right,
Anybody
next
gets
email.
that.
Hi, Dylan and Max. First of all, awesome podcast. I stumbled upon it recently and have started listening to it in cruise. Very relevant and great banter. I have been a corporate or charter pilot for nearly 20 years and currently flying Lear 60s for a Texas-based 135. I was listening to your recent podcast about non-rev adventures, and I have something that your listeners may find relevant. A few years ago, I created a non-rev software for 135 operators which utilizes empty legs. It's called Jump Hub, and it works by automatically syncing with most flight scheduling software, including Jet Insight, Scadero, Flex, and Airplane Manager. Our software extracts the empty legs, makes them anonymous, searchable, and requestable by other participating Jump Hub operators. This allows charter operators to reciprocate non-rev benefits via empty legs in a secure and automated fashion. The software is fully automated, and great care went into designing the system specifically for charter. This means security and privacy is our main focus. Participating operators can act as administrators for their flight crew and can add or remove access as needed, similar to KCM or CAS. We've solved the non-rev benefit problem for 135, and we are currently trying to grow the network with nearly 1,000 eligible operators in the U.S. and thousands of aircraft. Collectively, with just empty legs alone, we would have one of the largest virtual airlines in the world of non-rev. We have a website here, and you can check it out, and that's from Ed. I'll have a link to that. I thought that was cool and worth including because that's kind of a cool service for
Yeah, I had no idea.
crews. And
Good for you, Ed.
I had no idea that existed. Yeah, and see, this actually makes more sense than the red flags to me are whenever there's a charter broker trying to tell me that they've got some software that's cracked empty legs to like sell. But to fly standby,
This is
non-rev,
going to be
that actually
This
I think
is
might
going to
work.
be like Uber, but for private jets. How many times
Yeah.
have you heard that?
Ooh,
Oh, really? Wow! I can't believe no one's thought of that at this point.
wow! Sign me up. Just need the app. Cool. All right. Well, thanks for writing in, Ed. We'll check out your system.
Hey guys, I'm currently in the UND program and loved all of the banter about 141 programs during the last episode. I really appreciated the comparison of the structure of 61 versus 141 and how each side is not for everyone. As far as getting your private before entering into a 141 program, I would very much recommend it. I did not go this route and wish I did. I became so used to having so much structure I almost felt lost, even after getting my private, when flying through a local FBO at home. Like, what do you mean? I can just take this airplane and go and do whatever I want with it? I was fortunate. I fell in love with flying from the start, but had too many friends that either didn't love the program or struggled with the work-life balance in college, and were forced to make a change even if they were knee-deep in the program. During the pod, the college experience was mentioned. I believe it's a good real-world experience to test what works with the balance before entering the workforce. There is also something to be said about being able to work on what you want to work on in 61 and be able to fly where you want. That is not an experience you get in 141. The FAA mandated TCO essentially says that you are going to do X, Y, Z in X amount of time to do this standard and then move on. So even if I am really struggling with something, I am forced to work on the next thing and then come back to it when told to. With this being said, I am moving through the program, just got his commercial single engine land yesterday, and love how I am pushed to be a better pilot every day, both in and out of the classroom. My hope is to make it into corporate flight deck, as the lifestyle flying of 135 seems like a blast out of flight training, as long as you do it right, obviously. I look forward to hearing what other tips and tricks you guys have for me to accelerate my path. Please, for the love of God, get me out of the tundra ASAP. Thanks, guys. Ty. Yeah, that's it. Wait, so did you get your private before you, or no?
I had a pretty significant amount of time before I went to Embry-Riddle, but I didn't have my private. I'd already soloed and stuff.
I do remember what he's talking about. When I did that, got my private, went home for the summer. I'm like, yeah, I'll run an airplane. And like, I was like, what? Wow.
Yeah.
There's no one to tell me
where
if
do
the
I go?
winds are
Dispatch
not
didn't
too
tell me
strong.
what practice
Well, remember
area?
we had the flight
Yeah.
supervisor that would put it on like winds, restrictions, and all
PQ
this
hold.
nonsense.
Yeah.
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 Didn't we have a card? Didn't we have a little card that said how much cross
PQ card, yeah. How much wind you were allowed to fly with.
Pull out your
qualification
PQ card. We need to compare this to the
Yeah.
METAR and make sure
Exactly.
you're
And it was only
qualified.
good for a certain amount of time. Yeah. it's
Yeah,
ridiculous.
expired, and then you had to go do what a scam that was. Oh, we got to go do a PQ flight to see if you can still handle 8 knots of crosswind, Dylan.
And it's not like
What a racket.
they can. It's just like whatever the wind happened to be that day is what your qualification was. There's
Yeah,
no
it
way
was
they,
such a
it's
joke.
not like they turned fans on at the end of the runway. Oh, okay, well, let's get you dialed up here.
They simulate it pushing on the rudder. Whoa, look at that crab angle. What are you going to do?
Well, oh man,
How
yeah. No,
stupid.
he's got a great.
But no,
point.
I do remember that. They throw you the keys. Here you go. Have fun.
Yeah. Yeah. This is the advice that, like, I remember your co-pilot Christian, like, when he was in college, this is what we said to him. We're like, you have to be a flight instructor after going through a 141 program because you've never had to make a single decision. You've always had a check, or a balance in there. And so all the way through 141, you're with an instructor the entire time. Even though you've got the certificates, you haven't really ever had to be in charge. And so that's why if you come out of a 141 program, it's important for you to immediately go into a place where you, like, if you go right to the right seat of another airplane after flying in a 141 deal, you're going to still continue to not make decisions. And so that's why I think that flight instructing step is so important.
Yeah.
I don't know. Do we have any other advice for him in a 141?
Oh,
Just
get it done as quickly and
Get
as
it done.
efficiently as possible. Do not fly more
Yes.
than
Yeah.
absolutely minimum required.
be prepared. Get the maximum number on your PQ card. That's our
I just
advice.
remember in 141, I feel like people are like, yeah, well, I could have done that better. We'll do that flight over again. And I remember like people lost sight of the expense of. It's like, dude, just get it done. Like it doesn't have to be
Yeah.
perfect every time. Just
No. All right. Next email says, I just wanted to drop a line for Diamond Dog Tim. I have been working with him for 2.5 years now and have to share how happy my wife and I are with his services. As a retiring military guy transitioning to 121, it was intimidating, but having a guy like Tim in our corner to help with everything from life insurance tax strategies, IRA, TSP decisions, and where to get good barbecue has really taken the fear of the unknown
Does have
out of
some
the
good
equation.
barbecue, Rex.
Thanks so much for having him on the show. Keep up the good work. Did Tim write this? Did Tim's wife write this?
No, Tim's solid, dude. Good.
He's the best.
I'm
He
glad
is
he's
the best.
getting
I'll
the
tell ya,
respect he
we have
deserves from the listeners.
Here's the thing. I love this email, but how many people have you talked to that have started working with Tim? And I have never heard a negative thing about any of the people that we've sent to work for him. So to me, that's very encouraging.
There you go. We just sent a guy today. Wasn't that today in that text message from our friend Ryan?
Exactly. All right, what's next?
I'm just listening to episode 64 on my deadhead to Miami. Coming from a Part 135 background, I've never done a PA to the passengers. Granted, I've seen some embarrassing things done with the PA when flying Part 135. One time in a King Air, the captain I was flying with grabbed the mic and said, "Ladies and gentlemen, from the flight deck to our 3 passengers within earshot of us." But I made my first PA ever during my first leg of IOE. I explained to the check airman my background and that I would have to rehearse it with him. After gaining the confidence, I keyed the mic and started reading the script from the FOM. When I see my check airman slowly handing me a folded piece of paper, I open it, and while still rambling on my PA, it says, "Remember, don't say the F word." But it didn't say the F word. I just about lost it while still keying the mic and let out one of the longest uhs in my life while I tried to gain my composure. Anyways, it's been great catching up on old episodes and seeing how far the show's come. Definitely enjoying the new format as well. Keep up the good work. Henry. I love it when a check airman has a little bit of sense of humor. That's funny.
That was the best.
I remember
I flew with
the
one guy.
had, I just remember at my first landing in the airplane at Southwest. I put it on fairly astutely. Like, the bins didn't open. It wasn't terrible, but I just remember the check airman boom, land. And I remember him just sitting over there, and he just starts laughing, just like head back. And I was like, I guess this is a game. This is fun. We're having fun now. This is cool. But it was just funny because he's just like, that's funny. Yeah, it'll get better. Yeah, don't worry about it.
My
All right. Not worried.
My old my old roommate in college, she, on her first leg, I think she was flying the ATR, maybe. And her first landing on IOE, she said that they just hammered it in. And then the flight attendant came on the PA when they were texting. She goes, "All right, ladies and gentlemen, the captain will now taxi what's left of the airplane to the gate." She's just like, oh. Hammer. It's okay. Not many people put a smoothie down on their first landing. I got some fun trivia for you. Speaking of IOE, my first landing in a jet, not a turbine airplane, but in a jet. What airport do you think it was at?
No, in a jet.
Yeah.
So Dubuque, Iowa.
It starts with D. It was a good guess. It was DCA. I couldn't believe the guy. He's like, all right,
River Visual.
I did the river visual on my first time flying.
You did?
The airplane, like landed.
Are you serious?
Yeah. I couldn't
That's
believe
hilarious.
it.
Dude, you haven't been
He's
in
like,
there
all
for
right,
a
well,
long
you'll just
time.
do this.
They have now one of the radius to fix RMP approaches that is the River Visual.
Oh.
It just, it just does it now. It's pretty. It's not as much fun as the River Visual, I'll tell you.
Yeah, the old one. Yeah, I couldn't believe it. It was like, meanwhile, I don't even know how to adjust my seat or do anything. And then he's like, well, let's just tackle this river visual here.
Just here. Okay. See that
Don't
bridge
fly
right
that
there?
way.
Cross that. 3,500. And then,
It's like,
now,
what are we
normally you
doing?
won't be turning base to final at 500 feet, but here,
Here we go. I'm just like, how much are they paying this guy? They should triple it. I mean, oh my God.
they have, turns out.
Ugh. And he was like cool as a cucumber. Like he didn't even give it a second thought. Like, oh, of course we're gonna just, we're
Dude,
just gonna put one down. And
you've
use it.
got to, yeah, you have to have balls of steel if you're a regional
Yeah.
airline check airman. Like you've got to.
Oh,
You've
I
seen
was
some
just
things.
talking to our mutual friend who is a check airman at NetJets, because they're hiring 1,000-hour pilots at NetJets right now. And here it was a really interesting conversation because he's like, in the airlines, you're shooting ILSs to usually ILSs to big airports. Like, congratulations, after IOE, you can land at 25 airports, and shoot an ILS in there. NetJets, you're doing everything. So he says IOE is wild with a 1,000-hour person, because they not only is it their first jet, but now they're like having to shoot visual approaches and circles and just doing all the stuff that we do every day. That's, can you imagine having to learn all that all at once?
Yeah, it'd be a lot. Well, listen, it's always a lot at first, no matter what. Everyone figures it out.
It doesn't matter.
It's not rocket science.
You figure it out. All right, that is going to do it for the mailbag. Thanks to all of our listeners who wrote in info@215podcast.com if you'd like to participate in the discussion. We love hearing from everybody. Let us know what we're doing well, what you don't like, guests you want to hear from. Can't wait to get some TED feedback after this. Should be good. And now, on, Max, to an exciting flight advice I think you're going to enjoy. Of course, flight advice is brought to you by our friends at Harvey Watt. You can visit harveywatt.com to check out all of the offerings they have for professional pilots. You probably know that they have loss of medical insurance available to you. Almost every major airline pilots union has that coverage negotiated into their contract. But did you know they also have life insurance? I've got a policy. It's great. There's almost no exclusions. A lot of pilots have a hard time getting life insurance if they fly their own private airplane. Not a problem at Harvey Watt. Check out their website. Links in the show notes, harveywatt.com. On to flight advice. All right, here we go. My question is this. What kind of pilot job would you take if you didn't have to worry about salary? Back in the mid-1990s, I bailed on my professional pilot pursuit to go work in the tech space. Fast forward to a married 52-year-old father of two, one in college and one in high school. The tech world has been good to me, and I would not change a thing. However, I am now considering a flying career for fun and am not chasing a big salary. I own a small plane and enjoy flying around New England, but I find myself constantly thinking about getting back into the professional pilot space. I need a mission. Flying friends and family is nice, but I like having a mission and want a reason to fly some bigger airplanes. Here's the twist. I want to fly professionally while still working my current job, at least for a little while. I have lots of flexibility and work remotely, plus my salary is approaching senior captain's money. The job that gets me the most excited is flying for someone like PlaneSense, taking the PC-12 in and out of small airports. I'm concerned about the schedule, 7 on, 7 off. My job is flexible, but not that flexible. So as an alternative to the 7 on, 7 off schedule, other jobs I think about are work for Cape Air as a part-time pilot, find a local Part 135 serving as a part-time pilot, maybe even buy a plane and put it on a 135 and fly that. Once my kids are off to college, I can see myself quitting my job and going full-time flying. Stats are, let's see here, commercial pilot with close to 1,400 hours and an expired CFII, living in Massachusetts, unwilling to relocate. Let's see. That's what Todd has to say. Interesting. What would you do for fun, Max?
This is a tough one. What if you didn't have to worry about? Well, he's not exact. I mean, it's not that simple. Like when I first read this, I was like, oh, what kind of job would I take if I just money wasn't a thing? Like, you had run the lottery and you're independently wealthy? I mean, if that was the question, when originally I was like, let's do this. Answer the question. What kind of pilot job would you take if you didn't have to worry about salary? So assume you are independently wealthy. You do it for fun, not for the money. What would you do?
I'll tell you exactly what I would do. I would buy like a King Air 350 and I would fly it around and do like missions for like Wounded Warriors and Corporate Angel Network and that kind of stuff where there's like needs that you're filling for passengers that need to be like transported for like medical or that kind of stuff.
Well, I'm not saying you're like a billionaire. Like you have enough money to live, but you still, I'm not saying like, yeah, you could be a philanthropist. You're not Bill Gates here, bro.
Oh, I see. Okay. Honestly, like, okay, here's one. Do something. Okay, remember when we went fishing last year in Canada and we were on the seaplane? Something like that would be pretty sweet. Like,
yeah, I was thinking something like that, or like some sort of like serving small communities,
yes.
like in Alaska, like.
I don't know that I want to live in Alaska.
I know that's the thing, or I don't know, man. I tell you what, flying Part 91, a corporate gig for people that are really cool. Mm-hmm. That's pretty good. I mean,
it can be a really good, deal.
Those jobs can be really. I've had a couple of them now, like where you don't fly that much. Like you don't fly. You fly a little enough to then like get excited to go to work. You're like, oh, this is cool. You get to fly
a couple times
someone
a
else's
month,
cool toy and go somewhere cool, and someone else pays for it. It's great. So that would be cool. But I guess for him specifically, I mean, he has an airplane. You can still do. I would definitely. It's something that's really cool to do when you own your own airplanes to volunteer somehow with your airplane, whether that's depending on what airplane you have. That could be like in Arizona we have the Sky Kids, which we've told about. We're a lot of kids that are handicapped that. A lot of them have never flown before, where you take them on their first flight with their parents, and they're there and everything. And you can even let them fly a little bit, and that's very rewarding. Or there's another one where you go pick up a bunch of stray dogs from the Indian reservation, and you transport them back here, and they get, cleaned up and spayed and neutered and then rehomed. And so there's a lot of cool things like that. And doing that with your airplane is very cool. Feeling that's very rewarding. So and it's cool because like you said, it's not just flying somewhere to burn avgas and go buy an overpriced hamburger somewhere. Like you're actually accomplishing something. You have a mission, which is what he's looking for. So I think that's one
purpose
thing to find. But as far as I think that
here's what I think you should do right now, especially because you said you still want to work for a little bit right now. I would say continue to fly your airplane, and this should be the like reconnaissance and networking phase. It doesn't look like you're really willing to relocate. So what I would start doing is spending more time at the airport. What kind of airplanes are based at the airports nearby? Because it seems like an ideal situation right now is to get into some type of like right seat of a King Air or PC-12 just to get a little bit of turbine experience. You don't need like maybe, the PC-12, you're maybe not going to make a ton of money, but you're going to see some, some type of like experience there where you can kind of see what is going on. And then you, like Max said, maybe start to identify some people that own airplanes that are pretty cool to work for, that kind of would do the flying you'd want to do. So I don't think this is going to happen overnight for you, but I think that that's probably your best. I think you're on the right track thinking right seat turboprop type move. I would say steer clear of the 7 on and 7 off if you still want to work your job. But you might think about when you're ready to quit your job, go grind for a year at PlaneSense or one of those fractionals and get some experience, because the one thing is like you're probably not going to be able to land a captain job until you've built some time. You're probably going to have to suck it up for a year or two somewhere, building some decent experience. So I would say that may be the one consideration there when you're ready to make the transition.
Yeah, the reality is that nobody knows what the job is, the job that exists that's going to fit the mold here, because you're going to have to go out and find it. It's not on the internet, and it's not, you can't apply it on pilotjobs.com. It's just that's not there. So you're going to have to find one of those jobs that is only found, like Dylan said, by networking, and use LinkedIn, leverage the tech that we have available today that makes that easier. You don't have to only knock on doors and walk into charter operators and FBOs and stuff.
The nice thing the advantage you have right now is that you can get into a niche, right? Because you have some life experience, and you're okay flying somebody's TBM or some sort of like big twin engine, piston airplane, because it's not a stepping stone for you. That's what you can pitch to an owner of an airplane. It's like, look, I'm not some kid that's trying to climb the ladder.
Another set of eyes in like you said, a TBM or a Cirrus jet or whatever, like somebody that just wants, an owner operator that wants somebody else, another set of eyes. There's a lot of those people out there too. So, and you don't even have to have your CFI current for that.
Yeah, exactly.
So cool.
Here's 3 tips. Go network. Go figure out who the sales rep is for Pilatus, TBM, and Cirrus in your region. You should be able to do that on the internet. Go take all 3 of those people to lunch.
Boom.
And just tell them who you are, what you're thinking about doing. Plant the seed. Anything else for flight advice, Max?
That's it.
Okay. Good. Well,
great.
I think that's going to do it then. So
right. We've done it all.
We've got it all. We have our reading assignment for the listeners. We're going to talk about Chapter 1 of Hard Landing. We'll have a link in the show notes to where you can purchase that.
Petzinger Jr.
Will you check while I'm wrapping up the show and see if you can get it on Kindle for me real quick?
Gladly.
Well, Max is checking on that. We want to thank all of our sponsors of the show: Harvey Watt, Advanced Aircrew Academy, Timothy P. Pope, Veris Jet Sales, the AirComp Calculator, all of our friends helping to make this show possible, and of course, all of the listeners that write in for flight advice, reviews, mailbags, everything else. You know where to get in touch with us. 21fivepodcast.com. We will be back next week with another great episode for you. Until then, remember,
it is available in Kindle, hardcover, and paperback. Flexibility is key to air power. We'll see you next time.
The statements made in this show are our own opinions and do not reflect, nor were they under any direction from any of our employers.